Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where bananas are good. Because this week we watched The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances.
Written by Stephen Moffat.
Directed by James, Hawes? I think. Maybe it's Haywes.
And aired on May 21st and 28th, 2005.
Mr. Hawes, if you're listening to this, just know it's basically tradition for me to mess up every Doctor Who director's name now, so you're not alone. And pretty much everybody else in the first season had their name messed up at least once, so you're in good company.
So we can't stop now.
Yeah, we just have to do it every week. So, yeah.
So another two-parter.
Yeah, second of the season. Out of
three.
First actual contribution to the show by Stephen Moffat that's not a charity special that immediately writes out 3 incarnations of the Doctor.
What? This wasn't a charity special that wrote out 3 incarnations of the Doctor? What did I watch?
I think you watched... You didn't watch what you were supposed to. I don't remember what that special was called now. It wasn't Dimensions in Time.
Yeah,
Dimensions in Time was the other
one. It was
one.
The Curse of Fatal Death.
That's what it was, right.
No, I did watch The Curse of Fatal Death.
2 months ago.
Yeah, but I watched it again accidentally, so maybe we should just stop this episode so I can go watch the correct thing.
All right, we'll stop. No. You go watch. We'll come back and just pick up where we left off right now.
All right, we're back. So I watched the episodes.
Yeah, you drove all the way home, watched them, drove all the way back. Took like 2 hours, but we're back. And so it begins. It begins with the Doctor and Rose in medias res. I know I horribly mispronounced that, but anyway, moving on.
It's media res.
Media res? I don't know. So they're chasing a time capsule of some sort. The Doctor's not sure what ship it is, but he knows it can travel through time, and he's chasing it through the time vortex because it's emitting like an international, and international meaning like galactic wide.
Yeah, he said it's a universal signal for something or the other.
Like it's a distress signal.
Rose is like, but we don't use that on Earth, and the Doctor's like, yeah, well, everyone else uses it. But then I was like, so if it's not used on Earth, then it's not universal.
Well, it's probably universal by some galactic federation that Earth is just like, nah. Or
they just don't know about it. That's more likely.
Yeah, that's also possible. Or the Doctor's just making up some nonsense excuse for just... There's
humans.
There's actually no universal distress signal because, I mean, in the classic series, every distress signal sounded different.
Just likes to rag on Earth whenever he gets the chance.
Or someone established a universal distress signal later, and...
I think we're thinking too much about this universal distress signal.
Yeah, well, it was key to the plot. It was integral.
I mean, kind of, but... Anyway, they make it back to Earth again.
Well, so the Doctor... They have this quote-unquote big reveal, which is less of a big reveal and more of an excuse for a cliffhanger going into the title sequence, where the Doctor's like, it's about 30 minutes from the center of London. Cue title sequence. And then at the end of the title sequence, the TARDIS has landed, and the Doctor's like, well, it landed here, near here, probably about a month ago. And Rose is like, a month ago? We were just behind it. And the Doctor's like, yeah, well, it was jumping time tracks all over the place. It was a bit difficult to follow.
Yeah. So it's night when they land, and they go off to sort of find whatever it was that they were chasing.
And Rose does the one thing that, as we've discussed before, immediately leads to all the problems in the classic series, which is she just wanders off from the Doctor. Because she sees a kid on top of a building, and the Doctor's like, I'm going to go into this, I guess, like, cabaret club. And Rose is like, I'm going to go check out that kid. Although she doesn't really say it. The Doctor's like walks into the club, and she's like, Doctor? And he's just...
She just more goes after the kid in a dangerous position, calling for his mom, so... Yeah. Wearing a gas mask. I don't know if you can see the gas mask yet, because he's pretty far away, but...
No, but we do get kind of Silurian vision, but not really. It's like
sort of
gas mask vision. Although, in this case, it doesn't actually really lead to any problems, and actually arguably leads to the solution to the problem, since Rose finds Captain Jack, who kind of saves all of them at the end of the story, so...
And then gets saved by them.
It's a 1-for-1 deal. They're even now.
Yeah, it totally doesn't join them or anything. Anyway, the Doctor goes into this club, and as soon as the woman who's singing there stops singing, he just usurps the stage and is like, hey guys.
Well, maybe it's like an open mic thing.
I mean, maybe, but probably not.
I think probably yes. There's no indication either way, to be honest. So
yeah,
we can believe
like,
whatever we want.
I mean, yeah, but if there's no indication, are you really going to believe that it's an open mic? I mean, I guess yes, but
yes.
You shouldn't. Anyway, he goes on stage and he's like, hey guys, did anything fall around here recently? And they all laugh at him.
And he's like, what's funny, it would like land, probably didn't explode, and then these air raid sirens go off, and then the Doctor sees this poster that's like, Hitler will give no warning. And the Doctor's like, oh, that's why you're all laughing. Because they're in the middle of the Blitz, and literally everything is falling from the sky right now.
Yeah, so Rose gets on top of the building and sees the Zeppelins or the bombing ships or whatever they are.
They're like, I think Captain Jack says the RAF uses them for target practice. So that's why they're floating around. Apparently. Rose makes
there are also the ships that are like bombing the city.
Well, yeah, there's also the German ships, airplanes coming. But Rose makes this extremely questionable decision. She sees the kid on top of... she's on the roof of the building, but the building has like the secondary roof, because there's like a section of the building that's higher, and she's trying to get up there, and she sees this rope come down, and doesn't look to see what the rope's attached to. She just kind of grabs it, and then goes flying away on one of the Zeppelins. I just want to give a shout out to Rose's apparent forearm strength, since she holds on for a solid like 20 minutes onto that Zeppelin. And I mean, I know personally I would have been done in like 5, maybe. So...
Yeah, we also didn't mention that she's wearing the British flag as her shirt. Not on her shirt, she actually just wrapped the flag around... No.
It's, yeah, the UK flag. The Union Jack. Which, extremely questionable shirt choice.
Yeah, seems like one of those shirts that a tourist to the UK would buy.
Yeah, not someone who lived in the UK, although somehow this became her, like, most iconic outfit, so that's kind of weird.
Well, all right then. But yeah, they make a big deal in this about how she was hanging in midair wearing the flag, like as if anyone would really see it. You know, it's...
Yeah, Captain Jack only saw her because he had those futuristic binoculars.
Yeah.
From the 51st century.
And I mean, like, would the Germans fly by and be like, oh man, a girl wearing a British flag, gotta deal with her before we keep bombing the city?
Probably not. Maybe the reason why they're making a big deal of it is because she looks like a flag hanging from the Zeppelin.
Yeah,
from a distance, maybe. I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, could you really even see it from a distance? And the answer is probably no, but oh well.
So we've got some parallel storyline going on here, and I think we'll do what we usually do when we have that, which is just explain each of them in their entirety, and then explain the other one.
Well, I mean, maybe, because it kind of goes for a long while, so...
Yeah, but it would be less confusing to do it that way. But I guess we can try do it the story way.
I think we'll just see what happens.
So this is the point where we meet Captain Jack. He's looking through these binoculars at Rose. Is like, nice bottom. And this other general,
he's hanging out in some military
bar thing.
I think it's just some building that they decided to use.
And the guy's like, we gotta go down, Jack, the air raid sirens. And he's like, oh, sorry, I wasn't talking about you. But you've got a nice bottom, too. I've gotta go meet a girl. And the guy's like, what? The bombs are coming. And Jack's like, yeah, so? So then we cut back to the Doctor. And the Doctor leaves I keep want to call it a speakeasy, but it's not a speakeasy because speakeasies were in America. when there was no alcohol. But he leaves the club, I guess, and goes looking for Rose, and then the TARDIS telephone rings. The telephone and the door rings, and the doctor's like, "How are you ringing? You're not even a real phone."
I think this is the first time we've heard it ring.
Yeah, I think it is, actually. It's also kind of weird because the 11th Doctor, at some point, the console phone breaks, so the phone gets patched into the phone in the door, so it becomes a real phone. And then the 11th Doctor forgets to patch the phone back into the console when he repairs the console phone, which is kind of random, but is just a thing, I guess.
All right.
It's kind of weird how there's a phone in the door when the door isn't really a police box door. It's just camouflage.
Oh, well.
But whatever.
Anyway, a girl shows up and she's like, "Don't pick it up."
Yeah.
The doctor's like, okay. So she leaves and he's like, he decides to pick it up anyway. And it's the kid going, "Are you my mummy?" Like the mummies from ancient Egypt.
Yeah. No, like the mummy from the 2003 or whatever mummy movie.
Or the ride at Universal Studios that they closed.
Or the 2017
ride
reboot.
There. I didn't know there was a 2017 reboot.
Of The Mummy, yeah, with Tom Cruise.
Really?
Yes, apparently it flopped real hard. I didn't see it because it looked like trash. We actually forgot to mention, this is kind of going back to the phone and the door thing. We actually forgot to mention when we talked about the new TARDIS interior that you can see the inside of the police box doors now, which is unique because every other TARDIS before this TARDIS, the interior of the door looks like some futuristic spaceship door, or actually I think it always just looked like an interior futuristic spaceship door.
It just looked like a continuation of the wall with the roundels and stuff. So,
and now it's actually the interior of the police box. So
now they had to go and ruin it. No.
No, it's just really neither here nor there. We never mentioned it. So
yeah.
So the Doctor picks up the phone. Yeah, stuff happens. Cut back to Captain Jack.
Yeah, this is when I thought. This is when I went, wow, this guy looks exactly like James Franco, but and the more I saw of him, the less I thought he looked like James Franco.
Yeah, Captain Jack's played by John Barrowman, and he...
I don't know, is he famous? I don't know
only
who he is.
Well, mostly for this. He's been in Arrow and other things now, but... and also Torchwood.
Superhero stuff. No wonder I don't
Well, he was also in Torchwood.
Oh, sci-fi stuff. No wonder I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
So Captain Jack rescues Rose using his tractor beam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actual foreshadowing in the story, which barely ever happens in Doctor Who.
Such as? What foreshadowing was there?
Not necessarily foreshadowing, but actually setting up the
nanobots,
setting up the things they use and reveal later on, earlier in the story, and completely mundane other things, which basically never happens in Doctor Who. So they set up the tractor beam now, which comes into play later. And then Captain Jack sets up the nanogenes, which also come into play later. So at least they set these things up and drop them out of nowhere in the resolution.
I guess. Anyway, Rose gets onto the ship and begin love triangle between Rose, Jack, and the Doctor, I guess. Except this one actually lasts, because I guess Jack becomes a long-running companion, unlike Adam.
I don't know if it's a love triangle, because Jack is attracted to apparently literally everybody. It's more of a love infinity. But yeah, so he's trying to charm Rose. He hands her some psychic paper, which gets introduced again earlier when the Doctor's like, see, I'm going to introduce myself as Dr. John Smith. And Rose is like, wow, psychic paper. I know how it works. And the Doctor's like, yeah, but I'm just explaining it for the convenience of the audience members who hadn't watched The End of the World.
Yeah, he actually says that. Those are the exact lines. No. I still think the psychic paper is kind of dumb.
I still think it's better than the sonic screwdriver, especially since the sonic screwdriver was used legitimately 7 times in the story.
I think they should just take both of them out, honestly.
I think they should keep the psychic paper.
Then again,
I just like how it expedites the introductions a lot of the times, which I always felt were some of the most boring parts of older stories.
Maybe, but then again, like, as is shown pretty much right now, it's also not fallible. Well, yeah, I guess fallible, and like doesn't work all the time, because he hands the psychic paper to Rose, and it's supposed to tell her that I forget what it was.
Like a captain with the RAF, volunteer from America.
But it actually tells her that he's single or something, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because the psychic paper, you actually have to concentrate on what you want it to show, and also if you try to tell a lie too big, it shorts out, which happens to the 11th Doctor later. He tries to tell someone that he's a responsible adult, and paper shorts out. But yeah, so Captain Jack actually speaks with an American accent, which is actually good.
Yeah, it is. There are a couple instances where you can tell that he's not American, but for the most part, it's pretty good.
Yes, so thank goodness for that. Good on you, John Barrowman. So, yeah, he tells Rose that he's single, and then she hands the psychic paper back, and he's like, "Oh, this says you have an on-again, off-again boyfriend called Mickey, and you seem to consider yourself available." I'm like, "Ah, oh, poor Mickey. Man, if Mickey knew what was going on, he'd be devastated."
Yeah, well.
Especially since he waited a whole year for her to come back, dealt with all those accusations that he was a murderer, got arrested 3 times.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it makes me feel for him a bit more. But oh well, you snooze, you lose, Mickey.
He's not really
It's actually not
snoozing.
really his fault.
Oh, Mickey, no. So now the Doctor, he follows this girl. I think her name was Nancy.
I don't remember her name, honestly.
I'm going to call her Nancy. And if her name isn't Nancy, then...
Then oh well, there's nothing she can do about it now. No.
I guess we could check the wiki. I'm not.
I just called her 16
Nancy.
and pregnant. No, I'm
It
just
is
kidding.
Nancy. Wow, spoilers. It is Nancy.
Yeah. So we find out that she is not running, but she's providing food to the homeless kids of London.
Providing...
Stealing.
She looks for families who are having a big dinner when the sirens go off, brings all the kids there, eats all their dinner, and leaves, which I'm not going to comment on since there's nothing really to say.
All right. I mean, yeah, it's what she does.
All the kids are homeless. None of them really know where their parents are, I guess, but the Doctor shows up and he's like, "Hello, guys," and Ninth Doctor seems pretty good with kids, so that's
kind of
thing,
surprising.
Yeah. He tells some jokes, makes some friends pretty quickly, apparently, and he asks them about the spaceship because he decides, I guess, correctly, that if anyone was going to tell him where the spaceship was, it'd be these kids who have literally nothing to lose by telling him.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then there's a knock at the door, and it's the gas mask kid.
Yeah, freaking gas mask kid. We don't want you in our orphan ring. No.
So he's...
Get out of here, gas mask kid.
He's calling through the door like, "Let me in. I want my mummy. Let me in." And the Doctor's like, "We should let him in." And Nancy's like, "No, don't let him in."
Yeah.
So Nancy gets all the kids out the back. And so the Doctor's trying to figure out what the kid is, and Nancy bails on him, and he's like, "Well, guess it's just me and you, kid."
Yeah, the kid calls on the phone in the hallway. And the Doctor's like, I guess he has the ability to tap into all phones.
Well, so that's actually also explained later by something Captain Jack does.
Yo, yeah, all right. I think I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, because Captain Jack taps into the telephone through his ship, and it's revealed that he has, like, Omnicom, or whatever, Omcom. Doc's like, "That's weird, the kid has Omcom too," because the Captain Jack ship and the ambulance ship, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, are from the same race and have the same nanogenes. So anyway, the kid is trying to get in. The Doctor's like, "I'm going to open the door now," and he opens the door, and the kid's just gone.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Stupid
weird.
ding-dong ditchers.
You think that maybe this kid has disappearing powers, but later on you find out that for all intents and purposes he's basically a normal kid, except he has super strength. So the fact that he just disappeared here, kind
and
of
is
weird.
linked to all those other people. That's the bigger danger, actually.
Anyways, the Doctor's like, "Well, that's kind of weird." Meanwhile, on Captain Jack's spaceship, they're having champagne on the quote-unquote balcony, which is really just the top of the spaceship.
Yeah, I'm watching those fireworks. Just kidding, they're actually bombs.
Captain Jack's
The
trying
ship's
to...
invisible. We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
But it can turn invisible.
But
So
Captain Jack makes it visible when they're standing on it because Rose feels tripped out by the fact that it looks like she's standing on nothing.
wimp.
So then so Captain Jack turns on some period-appropriate music. And they start dancing.
Some house. Just kidding.
They start dancing, and Captain Jack's like, so you're a time agent, aren't you? And Rose is like, yes.
You got me. Ha 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 ha.
And Captain Jack's like, so how much for the Chula warship? And Rose is like, what? And he's like, I landed a warship here, and you want to buy it. So how much? She's like, I have to consult with my companion. Jack's like, well, I guess...
like, silly Rose, you're the companion. No, I'm just kidding.
Captain Jack's like, yeah, I guess we got to find your companion. So the doctor finds Nancy and asks Nancy about the spaceship because it's pretty obvious Nancy knows more than she's telling.
Yeah. And I think she reveals some of her backstory right now, which is that her brother died in the spaceship crash, I guess.
Well, she thinks he died in the spaceship crash, but the doctor actually reveals later that he died before the spaceship landed, which is also compounded by the fact that Captain Jack says when he landed the spaceship, he auto-programmed the autopilot not to hit anybody.
Yeah,
so.
I think Nancy knows. I was just not revealing it yet.
Yeah.
But thanks, anyway. We kind of already revealed most of this, so it doesn't matter. So the doctor's like, oh, I kind of want to break into the compound where they're... I forget what this
ship.
Yeah, keeping the ship. Is that what this compound was? I guess so.
Yeah. Well, so she takes the doctor there reluctantly under protest and tells him that the compound was set up like overnight when they found out the thing landed.
Pretty big compound to set up overnight. Well, I guess they just turned it into their compound overnight rather than actually like erecting the building overnight.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention Captain Jack also said there's a time limit on them buying the ship since the German bomb will land on it in 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he synced his clock to like Big Ben or whatever because he landed right in front of Big Ben.
Yeah, Rose is like, why would you land here? And Captain Jack's like, first rule of landing or parking an invisible spaceship, park where you'll remember it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nancy says you should probably go to the hospital first and talk with the doctor. And the doctor's like, I'm the doctor.
I am the doctor.
Well, he doesn't say that. He actually just says...
Doctor Who? No.
Nope, he just says... And then Nancy continues talking. So the doctor's like, well, I guess I'll go to the hospital. Nancy's disappeared. So maybe it runs in the family, that whole disappearing thing. They're actually aliens from another planet.
Yeah, because if you haven't figured it out yet, the gas mask kid is Nancy's brother. Yeah, definitely her brother.
Yeah.
That's why it's looking for his mom.
I think it's actually revealed, I mean, not now, but in like a couple minutes when the doctor's talking with Dr. Constantine. I think Constantine says, oh, the first patient was this young boy.
I forget when
Jamie
it's revealed, but...
It's like,
Jamie.
He's like, I used to know a Jamie, wonder how he's doing.
No, they actually don't bring up that Jamie, which makes sense, because like half the viewership would probably be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, the other half would be like, didn't that Jamie's mind get wiped?
And the other, like, 1% would know about the expanded universe stuff where his mind got, like, unwiped and then re-wiped however many times.
So the doctor's talking with Dr. Constantine. There's, like, this whole ward full of gas mask people, which is kind of creepy. This villain was
kind of creepy.
Pretty creepy, to be honest. And I guess the fact that it was the main leader of these guys was a kid was supposed to make you feel pretty bad for him.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, it all works out in the end, so...
Yeah.
There's that.
Anyway, doctor's scanning all these bodies with his sonic screwdriver, which is like the third thing that the sonic screwdriver has been used for in this story so far. This was also used for unlocking doors.
Moffat! Really hope that doesn't become a tenet of his run. Is he overusing it? Really hope it doesn't become a tenet of his run.
God damn it. So, the doctor's scanning all the bodies, like, that's kind of weird. They're all fused to their faces. They've all got the same scar on their hand. That's kind of weird. And when he says scar in his hand, Dr. Constantine like looks at his hand and quickly hides his hand, really suspiciously.
It's kind of weird, huh? Must be a huge coincidence. No, it's not. The doctor's like, how did all these people die? And Constantine's like, they're not dead.
He's like, they didn't. So he like slams the trash can with his cane, and they all like sit up in unison, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then we see the most terrifying thing this entire season, which is Dr. Constantine's face morph into a gas mask. He's trying to hold it back, which reminds me of that guy from Alien Resurrection trying to hold back the alien bursting out of his chest.
Check out Triple Play, our other podcast about movie trilogies. But yeah, it was kind of creepy. The creepiest part about it was the mouth transformation.
Yeah, because it looks like the kind of valve comes out of the throat, out of the mouth.
Yeah.
And gets fused to the mouth.
It wasn't that creepy, though. It was just slightly creepy.
It was pretty creepy. It's that body horror type thing that the Cybermen are way better at.
I mean, not really, but...
when they're done right. So, this is when they meet up again. Rose, Captain Jack, and the Doctor. Side note, every time I say Captain Jack, I just think of that Billy Joel song about how there's a drug dealer named Captain Jack living across the road from Billy Joel, and he's going to get everybody high.
All right.
Wonder if that was where Moffat got the name from.
Probably not. Something tells me no.
You don't think Moffat would name a major character after a drug dealer?
Anyway, they meet up, and the Doctor's like, stay back, I'm warning you, I have a screwdriver!
Not really, it's just like, well, because they all of a sudden randomly stand up because, as it's revealed also now, is that patient one, aka Jamie, aka the child, aka Gas Mask Kid, has found Nancy and is slowly approaching her. And she's like, oh shoot, what's gonna happen? And then all the people are approaching the Doctor and his posse, and then episode 1 ends.
Yeah.
Episode 2 begins with the Doctor angrily telling them to go to their room. And well, so actually first there's a recap that bleeds immediately into the Doctor telling them, hey, go to your room. And then the Doctor's like, man, I'm really glad that worked. Those would have been terrible lost lines. Cut to intro credits.
They don't really go to their rooms, though. I think they just go and lay back down on the beds.
Yeah, they do. But the main kid, does go back to his room.
Yeah. Which is in this hospital.
Yeah, before Constantine transforms, he tells the Doctor, oh, go to room, I don't know what it was, 608 or some nonsense, because that was where they put the kid when he came in. Because Dr. Constantine reveals this whole thing where the bomb landed and they found this kid there with the gas mask fused to his face, so they brought him to the hospital. And then after that, it started infecting everybody in the hospital.
Yeah, whoever the kid touched got infected, so that's why the Doctor didn't want the gas mask people to touch him or Rose or Jack, because it would transform them.
Yeah. So now it's revealed that Captain Jack was conning all of them, and it was actually just a heap of space junk he crash landed there. He's like, it was a Chula medical ship. And Rose is like, you said it was a warship. And Captain Jack's like, they have medical ships. They have ambulances in wars. And I was like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of just a loophole, but yeah, I guess he's right. But basically, I think his con was that he would convince people about the value of the junk that he crashed into the planet, set a deadline for it to supposedly get destroyed, although I think here it's actually going to get destroyed, and have them pay exorbitant amounts of money for it.
See, no, I think that's correct, but I think every time he ran the con, it wasn't that it was supposedly going to be destroyed. He actually destroyed the item in every single one before the people could realize that he had sold them a hunk of junk.
Yeah, he does say that. And then he just, I guess, splits the bill or whatever.
The Captain Jack says that Pompeii's really great if you want to make a vacation out of the con, but you got to set your alarm for Volcano Day. Then there's this line that's like, I mean, Christopher Eccleston tries to do the best that he can with it, but it's pretty much single-handedly the worst line in this story where he's like, you forgot to set your alarm, Jack. It's Volcano Day. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, episode 2 has some pretty questionable lines like that one, and also the banana stuff that just, and you can tell, like, well, maybe it's just me, but I thought Eccleston was like really having a hard time delivering these not so great lines, but I guess did the best that he could
but he was,
with it.
yeah, I think he was having a difficult time on those lines, but he was trying. I think the reason why they don't work, like I
The
think
banana stuff is just forced and it's not funny at all. So,
that's what I was gonna say. I think the banana stuff would work for like the fourth Doctor or maybe the sixth Doctor, one of those more eccentric Doctors. But the ninth Doctor's so grounded and he's like rarely ever funny like that. I think that's why it kind of feels forced in the story because it's not typical to this incarnation of the Doctor.
yeah, like none of the other lines for the Ninth Doctor in any episode really even remotely sound like the banana stuff. So
Yeah, it's just kind of out of character for this incarnation of the Doctor, which is kind of a bummer. But what can you do? This,
thanks, Moffat.
you know, yeah, and that banana line would actually work pretty well for the 10th Doctor too. So, anyway,
it doesn't ruin the episode or anything. So
no, they're kind of running, and Jack reveals that he has a sonic blaster, which can cut holes in things
and repair them. So that's pretty useful.
Yeah, actually, kind of more useful than the sonic screwdriver, and
has a defined purpose, so can't just be used for anything when they need an out of a situation.
And has a finite battery life.
Yeah, maybe the battery life would be longer if it didn't have all those glowing parts to it.
Well, so it's like glowing blue, which I guess is supposed to show that it's a sonic because we never mentioned the new sonic screwdriver design, but it glows blue and it's got a little like blue orb at the end of it.
Yeah.
So they kind of run around. They go to the first room. The kid's first room, and they're in there and they're listening to this tape of Dr. Constantine talking with the kid, and they're like looking at the room, and there's all these drawings of this woman in the room.
And the only thing the kid's saying on the tape is, "Where's my mommy?" Whatever.
Yeah, every time Constantine asks a question. And there's a pretty good reveal, like, here that I thought was done really well, that they try to do again later and works not nearly as well because it's done here. But so they're listening to the tape, and then you start hearing this like clicking noise in the background. You don't think anything of it, and then because the kid keeps talking, and then Rose is like, "What's that noise?" And the doctor's like, "The tape ran out 30 seconds ago, but they're still talking." Because the talking is like, "I'm here, can't you see me?" And they think it's on the tape, but there's the tape clicking noise in the background. The doctor's like, "The tape ran out 30 seconds ago." So
He's here!
So I thought that reveal was done pretty well, because, if you knew what the end of the tape sounded like, then you could pick up on it immediately, but if you didn't, then it's like, oh, okay. Then they try to do it.
I guess.
They try to do it again in the episode.
I don't remember where they do it again.
They do it later with the typewriter, where the guy's typing on the typewriter, and then she's like...
That wasn't the same.
It was kind of the same, though, because the typewriter keeps typing. She's like, "But who's typing?" And I'm like...
No, that's one of those things where it's like, if you're here and I'm here, then who's typing?
Yeah, but it feels kind of the same, but inverted, I guess.
It's like kind of the same idea, but not exactly.
It was similar enough that I felt like it was the impact was lessened by the first occurrence.
I always just remember that Disney cartoon from like the 30s where they're on a train and Goofy's like, if you're here and I'm here and Donald's here, and who's driving the train?
Thankfully trains don't really need to be driven.
Yeah, but it goes off the rails.
Tracks.
It goes off the rails after he says that, so there you go.
The only thing you gotta worry about trains is going around curves too quickly.
Yeah, they're on a mountain, like, going around curves, so...
Yeah, I was also gonna say making sure you're not on the same track as another train. So they cut a hole in the wall, and they leave, and then they get kind of cornered in a corridor, and the doctor's, like, brandishing his sonic as a weapon, and he's like, "I've got a sonic," and Jack's like, "What kind of sonic? Blaster, cannon?" And the doctor's like, "Screwdriver." And Jack's like, "What are you gonna do, assemble a cabinet at them? How's that gonna help?" Then Rose...
You never know. No,
Rose cuts a hole in the floor using Jack's sonic blaster. We also forgot to mention that when they landed, Rose was like, "Why don't you just scan for alien tech?" Which is a thing I'm sure the doctor's done before, but he's like, that would be too easy. And then when she's with with Jack, she's like, "How are you going to find the doctor?" He's like, "Oh, easy. I'll just scan for alien tech." Rose is like, "Finally, a professional." So that was kind of humorous, I guess. Most of the humor in this era comes from Rose, to be honest.
This season isn't really that humorous.
No. Captain Jack's pretty funny, in my opinion.
Even then. Even him.
I just want to throw a shout out for them actually giving Captain Jack a character when they made him a new companion like Rose. He's not just some rando like Adam.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can kind of forgive them for Adam since Adam had a character, kind of.
Kind of, but Adam also had a purpose, which was to be written out the next week. So they kind of get trapped in this room that has only one entrance and exit. I guess it's like a storage closet. And they're in there and like, well, shoot. And Captain Jack just beams out.
Yeah.
And so you think, wow, Captain Jack's just going to leave them there to die. But I guess this is almost a redemption arc for Captain Jack because he's like, I can teleport you out, but it's going to take me a while to like calibrate the teleportation to your guys' biology or whatever because it's only keyed to me right now. So I'll pick you up in a couple minutes. Just hang tight. And the doctor's trying
not to dance, but he feels the music inside him. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's trying to set up a resonation pattern in the concrete so he can blow out the concrete with a sonic screwdriver, which he tries to do on wood later.
Rose is like, can't we just wait for Captain Jack? And Doctor's like, no, gotta do this myself.
Yeah, because the Doctor doesn't trust Captain Jack because Captain Jack is a con man. So I don't really.
I think jealousy has its own part to play in this.
Yeah, a little bit. That's kind of how they're playing it. But I also don't blame him for not trusting the con man who tried to con them.
Yeah, there's that.
And then so Rose is like, so have you? Why don't we just dance while we wait for Captain Jack? Because the kid taps into the radio, which isn't connected to any power source, and this is when it's revealed that Captain Jack has Omcom in his spaceship and can connect to anything with a speaker hole.
Yeah.
And the kid can do that too, so Captain Jack's... He's drowning out the kid using the music that him and Rose were dancing to earlier, and Rose is like, well, the world's not going to end because the Doctor dances. The Doctor's like, I've been around for 900 years, I think I've danced a little bit. And if you hadn't picked up on it by now, dancing is actually a metaphor for sex.
All right.
Actually explicitly said, I think it's explicitly said by
Stephen
like
in the later scene, it's with the guards, sure.
So yeah, dancing is, I guess, the kid-friendly version.
I mean, but it's also actually dancing because they dance.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be a metaphor for sex, which is why later on when they're dancing in the TARDIS and the Doctor's like, I'm sure, Rose is like, I'm sure Captain Jack would like to dance, and the Doctor's like, yeah, but with which one of us?
Anyway, I think this is the first time we've actually seen the Doctor dance. Or
no. He danced in Delta and the Bannerman with Ray, remember? Ray was like, because the guy that Ray was interested in was dancing with that other girl. The Doctor's like, I'll dance with you, Ray, it's alright. And then he like dances really poorly. I think that was the only other time.
Yeah, it was like 10 years after this.
Oh, yeah!
Meanwhile, the orphans are hanging out in somewhere that they've hidden.
Yeah, well, so actually first Nancy gets trapped because the siren goes off. And by off, I mean it's off now, not that it goes...
Yeah.
It's done. There's no more bombs being dropped for now.
English language? No.
The English language. You love it and you hate it. And
actually, I just hate it.
The family... We should do this podcast in, like, Russian. The family that owns the house that they're eating at comes out, and they come into the house, and they find Nancy, and...
This is the same family that she stole from at the beginning of the story.
So the head of the house, the guy, is like, why are you stealing all my food? That's the sweat on my brow. And then Nancy does this thing where, like, I've been watching this house for weeks, and everybody thinks your wife's been fooling around with the butcher, but no, it was you, wasn't it? And he's like, and she's like, I'd like all the food you have, plus bolt cutters, plus some other tools, and I'd like to go free. And he's like, and she's like, now, please.
Yeah, so this was kind of interesting, but the thing that was weird to me about this scene is, like, why does her blackmail work, right? She's just some orphan girl. Like, what if she did come out with this information? Nobody would believe her.
So I guess nobody would have to believe her, per se, but if the rumor started, then it could destroy his social standing, like, even if it was an unproven rumor and was just kind of circulating around.
I guess, but I feel like if she had made it public or whatever, it wouldn't have really mattered, because, I don't know.
Well,
I just felt like, who would really believe her, right?
The only person who would need to believe her or believe her enough to just go ask the butcher would be his wife. And so
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You think his wife would, like, believe him rather than, like, some random girl off the street, even though she is right. I mean, apparently.
I don't know. I guess you're right. It's kind of weird that it does work, but
I guess it's just, like, in the moment, if someone, like, outs you like that, you're like, oh, shoot, and then, like, maybe a day later you think, wait a minute, nobody would ever believe her, so.
yeah, that's also kind of a factor.
But it's not really a big part of the story, so oh well.
No. Feels actually that scene almost feels like it was just there to get her bolt cutters, number one, and number two, pad out episode 2. So she goes to the kids, she gives them the food, and the one kid's tapping away on his typewriter, and then
the other kid's like, stop it, you can't even read.
He's like, I don't need to read, I have a machine. And I'm like, that's not how it works yet. So then she's like, if you're with me, I'll never be safe. He's always going to come after us because he always comes after me. And they're like, nah. And she's like, oh yeah, well, that kid hasn't been typing at the typewriter for the past 5 minutes, so who's typing? And they're like, what? And then the paper says, are you my mummy? Mummy, are you there? Are you my mummy?
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Okay, no. It was kind of interesting how they even... I mean, the orphans were only on screen for like all of 1 minute, but it's kind of interesting how they gave him sort of a character like the oldest one now has to take responsibility now that Nancy is going to do her own thing and stuff. So they at least had somewhat of a character.
Yeah. Nancy has more of a character than any of them, especially when it's revealed
obviously, but
what's up. So yeah, Captain Jack teleports the Doctor and Rose out, and he's like, normally people notice when they're teleporting, and the Doc's like, we were dancing. And Jack's like, looked like you were talking. And he's like, we weren't talking. Rose is like, didn't feel like we were dancing.
Yeah, because they kind of just stand there. I guess it's dancing to the Doctor.
Well, no, the Doctor reveals later that I guess he was just messing with Rose because he busts out some serious moves in the final
like
minute.
Serious moves.
But they were like actual moves,
better
though.
moves, but I forget what happens next.
Well, so the Doctor has been examining Rose's hands in the storage closet because he's like, you were hanging on for like ever. Why are there no cuts on your hands? And Rose is like, oh yeah, Captain Jack fixed them up. And then when the Doctor's in the ship, he like clicks his fingers and a portal opens up.
Opens.
No, the nanogenes reveal himself.
Cut to like 2006 and you see Adam's head portal opening. No.
So, feels like Eccleston kind of hard-nosed the line here because he says, yes, nanobot. He goes, yes, nanobots. And Rose is like, nanogenes. And he's like, oh yes, nanogenes. But the way that it's all said, it sounds like Eccleston completely forgot what they were called and just called them nanobots. And then like Billy Piper was like, actually they're nanogenes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And yeah, it kind of seems like something that they just left in.
It's kind of funny, but whatever.
Yeah.
So Captain Jack's like, yeah, they fix you right up. They're pretty great.
Yeah, and they are pretty great. I mean, except for the things that happen later. Meanwhile, Nancy has broken into the compound.
Yeah, and it seems like they have really garbage security for a while, but then it's revealed that actually they just wanted to corner Nancy at the spaceship, so I'm not sure if it's a brilliant tactical move or a really nonsense one, but anyway.
They handcuff her to the desk, and the guy who's supposed to keep watch over her has been infected with the gas mask disease.
Yeah, he's transforming, and Nancy knows because she sees the scar on his hand, and she's like, oh, no, chain me up anywhere but next to this guy, please.
Yeah, she begs the guy to let her free, but he's already too far gone to even really be paying attention to her. The guy who played this guy, he was a good actor, but it felt like he was way overacting.
A little bit, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think about it at the time, but now that you say it, yeah, kind of.
I mean, I guess his mentality was like, I'm in this one scene, gotta really play it up and take my chance.
And do we really blame him for that? Not really.
No, I don't.
Anyway, so Rose, Captain Jack, and the Doctor are looking on to the base, and Rose is like, I'll distract him, and Captain Jack's like, I've gotten to know Arch pretty well since I've been here, and let me just say, I don't really think you're his type. I'll distract him. And then he goes off, and Rose is like, wait a minute, what? And the Doc's like, he's from the 51st century, you know? I think he's a little bit more flexible on these things than you are. She's like, what? And the Doctor mentions this thing like, oh yeah, the human race, like, I guess, procreates with all these alien species in the future. And Rose seems really surprised at this for some reason. I'm like, why are you surprised? You literally learned this exact thing from Cassandra in the end of the world. But yeah, she seems surprised at this, that Jack is, I guess, just pansexual.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes up to Arch and is like, "Hey, Arch, what's going on?" He like does the eyebrow thing. He doesn't really do the eyebrow thing. And Arch is like, "Are you my mummy?" And Jack's like, what? I'm not really into that."
Does he actually say that?
No. He does go,
Yeah, so Arch has been infected, obviously.
He turns into a gas moss creature, and the Doctor and Rose run up, and they try to keep all the other soldiers away, but then the Doctor reveals that the virus seems to have become airborne. He's like, well,
great.
And Rose is like, so what's keeping us safe? And the Doctor's like, well, nothing.
So they go and find Nancy, and I think she's somehow escaped. I don't remember how.
So she's singing...
she's singing. Yeah, she's singing to the guy who's already transformed, keeping him asleep. And the Doctor and Rose quietly come over and free her.
Yeah, and then so they go to the spaceship, and Jack through this whole thing has been adamant that the spaceship was empty because he didn't want to.
He's been adamant.
Because he didn't want to hurt anybody when he landed the spaceship. I mean, he's a con man, but he doesn't want to hurt anybody. It's also been revealed at this point that the reason why he's doing all this because he used to be a time agent. But then he woke up one day and discovered that they had like stolen 2 years of his memory, like wiped 2 years of his memory from his brain, and he wants those 2 years back, which is why he went renegade from the time agents to, I guess, con them until he gets his memory back.
Yeah. He also mentions that he doesn't blame the Doctor for not trusting him because he's like, if I was in your position, I wouldn't trust me either because of his 2 years of lost memories.
Yeah. So I actually like that Captain Jack has like a pretty fleshed out backstory, and he seems like an interesting character to me anyway, so
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what happens to him in the next 2 weeks. I only remember one thing that happens to him, so and yeah, so they go to the ship and they open it up, and the Doctor's like, so you really think it was empty, huh? And then the Doctor kind of clicks his fingers and the nanogenes turn on, and Jack's like, right.
Yeah, so it's a medical ship, so it's full of nanogenes. And I guess this is when, the gas mask people start closing in on them, and this is when they sort of reveal the actual backstory.
Well, just before they do that, the Doctor kind of delegates some tasks to try keep the gas mask people at bay a little bit. So he sends Rose to go with Nancy to go patch up the barbed wire fence. Apparently, the sonic screwdriver can repair barbed wire. It has an actual setting for rejoining barbed wire. And he sends Captain Jack, I think, to lock the doors of to close the gate, actually, from the compound to try to keep everybody who's not already in the compound out so they don't get infected. And yeah, this is when it's revealed that Nancy is actually Jamie's mom.
Which, you could kind of see it coming. I saw it coming from like a few minutes before the reveal happened, which was kind of nice, I guess.
Yeah.
One of those things where like, wait a minute, is she? And then it's revealed that she is, so.
Yeah, because the Doctor says, oh, you look long. I think the moment that you can pick up on it was when the Doctor says, you look younger than you actually are. You're like, what, 21 now?
I picked up on it like a minute before that.
Okay, well, that was the point I picked up on it.
Yeah.
And she's like, she doesn't respond, but the Doctor kind of pieces it together from her non-response that she must have gotten pregnant when she was like 15 and gave birth to Jamie, and then because of society at the time, being a young mother was kind of frowned upon, so she went into hiding as his sister.
Yeah.
Which is why he keeps asking, are you my mom? Because
she is. And she'd lied to Jamie, telling him that she was his sister, so I guess he finally realized, and she just kind of didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, so she admits to Jamie, because the Doctor reveals now that since all the nanogenes quote-unquote repaired all the people, what actually happened was, we didn't explain this explicitly, but what happened was the nanogenes found Jamie's, I guess,
corpse,
newly dead body and tried to repair it, but because he was wearing a gas mask, they couldn't discern the gas mask.
They thought that was the natural state of a person, so...
Yeah. So they brought him back to life, but with the gas mask fused to his face, so the nanogenes went around quote-unquote repairing all these other people with the gas mask attached to their face because they think that's what humans are supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And that's also why Jamie has super strength, because he's
because of
the nanogenes apparently boost your strength when they're in you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They're tiny little robots. So
Nancy admits that, she's Jamie's mom, and so they hug, and the nanogenes start swarming, and the doctor's like really hoping that the nanogenes don't just kill Nancy.
It's like, get the picture, come on. You're not dumb, nanogenes. I don't get why the nanogenes finally realized that that's what people are supposed to be like, though, because wouldn't they have already realized it earlier?
No, well, so the reason why they realize it is because Nancy's directly related to Jamie, so the genetics are similar. So they are able to pick up on the fact that the genetics are supposed to look like Nancy and not Jamie, because Jamie should have been the spawn of Nancy.
Kind of BS, but yeah, I guess it makes sense.
And so they repair Jamie, and well, you don't know if they've repaired Jamie, and the doctor runs over and is like, please, let me have this once, please, Lord.
Yeah, because he's about to remove the gas mask, and, well, you're going to find out whether it's still fused to his face or not, and it is. No.
Well, it's actually right before that, Captain Jack's like, I can teleport myself out of here, but I can't get you guys out of here, because the German bomb's going to land any second. And the doctor's like, go, save yourself. And so Captain Jack teleports out, but he comes back in a minute, but not just yet. So yeah, the gas mask is no longer attached to his face, and the doctor's like, oh, yes, thank you, Lord. And he like upgrades the nanogenes with that information and spreads them out to cure all the people. And it's like, just this once, Rose, everybody lives.
Yeah. Really happy about it. Like, really happy.
I mean, considering the Ninth Doctor's time span has been so tainted with loss and the fact that he killed all his people, I think he kind of deserves this moment of joy.
Yeah, I guess, but, I mean, is nobody dying really a good thing?
Yeah, probably. In this case, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, I guess it's like nobody dying who wasn't supposed to die. Yeah, I mean, because some of these people are going to die in the London Blitz.
They just get bombed like 2 minutes later.
But I think the Doctor's happy because he gets to save everybody. Like, every time he tries to save people, at least somebody ends up dying in the process. So I think he's happy that for once he can solve the problem without killing anybody.
Yeah, no, I know why he's happy. I just don't really agree with it.
Yeah, because you're a pessimist. But I think he deserves this.
But yeah, I can give him this moment.
So he's really he cures everybody, and then Captain Jack stops the bomb with the tractor beam, and the Doctor's like, change your plans, Jack. We don't need the bomb. Turns out everybody's cured. And Captain Jack's like, A-okay. And the Doctor's like, can you take that bomb and throw it away somewhere? Because Captain Jack's got it in stasis, but the stasis isn't going to last long. And when he's on the spaceship, his computer's like, stasis is operating at 90% efficiency. Bomb will detonate in 3 minutes.
And then a bunch of people who are supposed to die don't die, and the Vortisaurs show up. No.
Well, so they're in the TARDIS, and the Doctor's like, I'm on fire. And Rose is like, oh yeah? What, you think you're Father Christmas now? He's like, what if I am? Red bicycle when you were 7? And she's like, wait, what? And he's like,
The Doctor's like, let's dance, and Rose is like, show me your moves. And then Fox from Super Smash Brothers is like, show me your moves!
Well, actually what happens is Rose is like, what about Jack? And the Doctor gets really quiet, and you think he's just going to ditch Jack to die, but it's actually revealed that the Doctor goes to save Jack from the spaceship. But, I mean, Jack is like drinking a martini.
Yeah, he has this like final 5 minutes button that he presses, and it materializes like a martini.
And he drinks it, and he's like, well, we've had a good run, computer. And then he starts hearing this music playing, and he turns around and the TARDIS is there. And then the Doctor's like, come on, get in. There's going to be an explosion. There's going to be a draft. And Captain Jack's like, oh shoot. He like puts the martini down and bolts into the TARDIS.
I wonder why he didn't name his computer. Like, he just calls it computer.
If I had a computer, I would just name it computer. That's just not true at all. I don't want saying that.
Been watching a lot of Blake 7 lately, and computer on that's pretty cool. It's not just named computer.
Is that podcast foreshadowing? Guess you'll find out.
I mean, it's going to happen.
So, yeah, Jack comes in, and the Doctor and Rose are dancing. Well, the Doctor's dancing rather poorly, and then he like turns on way more upbeat music, and he's like, Rose, I just remembered, I can dance.
Yeah, I didn't get this part.
I think he just wanted to dance to the sad music. I think that was it. But yeah, I'm just justifying something I didn't really understand either. And then Jack's kind of looking on and smiling, and it's a nice little happy ending for once.
Yeah, I guess.
And they're kind of dancing around and having a good time and laughing and being merry, and then it ends.
Yeah.
might have worked really well if the show wanted to just kill its, like, just end. Would have worked really well to end on, like, a happy note there, but
Yeah, I guess this could have been a season ending,
yeah.
but it's not.
No, the season ending is much more depressing because Christopher Eccleston departs the show, which means it's going to be one of those depressing regeneration stories.
Anyway, the preview reveals that the Slovene are back next time.
And not just all the Slovene, just one Slovene.
Oh, yeah, right.
Just her. Just the one Slovene. Although, so, yeah, next week's story is a
one-parter.
It's kind of a filler story. May talk about this more next week, but basically what happened was someone else was going to write a story for that slot, and deadlines started coming up, and he was, for other things the guy was writing, and he kind of just said, hey, I'm not going to be able to write the story, so Russell T had to step in and write a story kind of at the last minute, but not really, so that's next week's is kind of a fill-in episode.
Well, it can still be good. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it can still be good. I'm just trying to provide some context on production information. And then we'll slide into the finale. We have 2 weeks of Trust Your Doctor episodes, and we will be done with the 9th Doctor.
Yeah, went by too quick. We said that about pretty much Doctor 6 through 9. But this one is actually real. It did go by too quick.
Well, this is about the same amount of time we spent on a Doctor, episodes-wise, for us as the 7th Doctor.
Yeah, but it's a lot less, like, content.
Yeah, it's fewer
episodes.
So it is less content, so it feels quicker. And then we'll have the retrospective, and then we'll be on to David Tennant's era, which is going to take like 6 months to do, and then we'll have Matt Smith's
9 months, pretty much.
Well, yeah, and then we'll have Matt Smith's Tennant era, which is going to take 10 months.
Yeah, so we're here for a lot
and then
longer.
Peter Capaldi will take, I think, 6.
Couple months.
Or even maybe even 5, because series 9 is basically all 2-parters, so... Anyway.
But I mean, yeah, as for this story in particular, could have been better if some of the dialogue and lines were less unfitting and cheesy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think the writing in this story was, like, explicitly bad. I just don't think it really fit the Doctor. I think Captain Jack was written pretty well, mainly because he was introduced in the story, so all of his character was built in the story, so it wasn't really any way you could write anything that was out of his character, really. I mean, you could, but it would be difficult to do so.
I mean, you could, like, retrospectively, like, looking back, say, like, hey, that one line from this was out of character based on these other episodes that he was in.
Yeah, you could do that.
I guess as of right now, you can't really say that anything's out of character for him.
And I think Captain Jack's going to make an interesting addition to the TARDIS team.
I'm guessing he leaves at the end of the season. I have no idea, but I'm just going to guess that that's the case. Because I know Rose doesn't. I already know that.
Yeah. Captain Jack does become a major character in the Doctor Who lore, I guess, since he becomes the head of Torchwood 3. In the Torchwood spin-off series, he's kind of the main character, and he also comes back a couple times. I mean, after he leaves as a companion, he comes back a couple times as a recurring kind of character. So he's pretty important, and he's pretty fun. He's kind of more lighthearted than some of the other companions.
Than most companions have been.
So that's nice, and I think he'll work pretty well with Rose and the Doctor. I don't think they're going to play up the love triangle aspect, because there's not a lot of time left in this season, and it wouldn't make sense if they're writing the Doctor out at the end of the season to introduce this love triangle and immediately, like, end it when the Doctor dies,
see.
I guess.
We'll see.
I don't quite remember the exact specifics. And yeah, and out of all the companions, Jack seems to be the most open about who he's sleeping with. So, like the Doctor says, they're a lot more flexible in the 51st century. There was also this line where, I guess building on the Doctor's character, where Captain Jack was talking about how he got the sonic blaster from, like, a weapons facility on some random planet, and the Doctor's like, oh yeah, I've been there once. And then Captain Jack's like, I keep meaning to order a replacement. The Doctor's like, yeah, I've been there once. There's a banana plantation there now, and Jack's like, you blew it up, didn't you? And he's like, yeah, I did. So, yeah, that's Empty Child / The Doctor Dances Story won a Hugo Award, which is...
surprising.
Well, so I think the stories that were nominated from the season for that Hugo Award were Blink, Father's Day, and then this two-parter. So, and this story won. I also found out randomly as we end the episode here. This is not related to this. Apparently, Doctor Who has had an episode nominated for the Hugo Awards every year since the reboot started in 2005.
That's pretty surprising.
Yeah, it surprised me. I thought it was pretty interesting. That it hasn't won every year since the reboot came back because Game of Thrones...
Sci-fi is dead.
Well, since Game of Thrones has started winning some of those awards since the Hugo Awards are
That's pretty surprising.
Fantasy and sci-fi. So.
And probably horror as well, I'm guessing. Usually it's lumped in there.
No, I think it's just fantasy and sci-fi.
Wow.
Better that way. And so, you can email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on World War II. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play, all at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you liked the show.
Check us on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time, we're watching Boomtown. But until then, the end.